I'm just a little bit pipped off right now. A wee bit pipped off. Hey guys, how y'all doing out there? My name is Maliek, and I'm back in the building, back on your screen, bringing you more PowerDirector love from PowerDirector University. I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of PIP love and show you how to get down in the PIP Designer in PowerDirector. So I'm going to show you how to use the PIP Designer room in CyberLink PowerDirector 14 Ultimate. Let's get into it. All right, PowerDirector peeps, here we are in CyberLink PowerDirector 14 Ultimate, and I'm about to show you how to get your PIP or your face cam thing going on. Now, before I get into that, I need to remind you of a few quick things. Remember to like, comment, and share this video. When you do those three things, it lets people know that the content in this video is bueno and that they should watch it too. So don't forget to do those things for me, all right? Smash the subscribe button. You got to subscribe to PowerDirector University if you want to get notifications each time I upload a video, and you want to be able to take advantage of the knowledge I bring to you on YouTube. Then you got to subscribe. Otherwise, you'll be missing out and you'll have no one to blame but yourself. Smash it. Now that we're done with that, let's jump off into the tutorial. So PIP, which stands for picture in picture, is an effect that is utilized to add video clips on top of one another and make them visible, whether you're putting them in different corners of the screen, whether you're adding one video, whether you have 5 videos. It's really up to you and what the program will allow you to do. Now you can left click on a video, and once you do, you get some options here above the timeline, and one of them is modify. If you click on modify, it'll open up the PIP Designer. Now, when you look at the layout of the PIP Designer, on the left, you have 3 tabs. You got Properties, Motion, and Mask. I'm going over each one of these tabs separately. To the right, you have your preview window and some options for your preview here. Underneath the preview window, you have your playback buttons and some options for grid lines and things like that. And then underneath that, you have the different parameters and the keyframes, so you can view a timeline of the video as you're previewing it, and you can see where any keyframes you add are located. Let's go ahead and talk about these features under the Properties tab. So the first option is Object Settings. So if I click on that drop down or that caret there, then you're going to see the different object settings. Firstly, you have Position. Position allows you to move the video to a different spot, or it allows you to create motion if you want to add keyframes. So let's just say that I want to change the position. I can type in the position, can use the arrow keys, or I can place my cursor over the clip, left click, and move it to a different position. So let's say that my starting position was here. And let's say that I want to add some motion. Well, I'm going to click on the Add Remove Current Keyframe. And you'll see down here in the timeline that now a little red keyframe has been added. Now, if I move this to a different position, now I can either move the clip to that new position and a keyframe will be created where my playhead is, or I could have just changed the parameters here and then clicked on the Add a Keyframe button. Either way. Now that I have this here, you notice that the ease in option has become enabled. So now if I wanted to slowly ease into this position, I can click on ease in. And now if I go back to the previous keyframe by clicking on select previous keyframe, the ease out option is enabled as well. Those will not be enabled unless you have 2 or more keyframes here. So remember that. So now I can have it ease out. And if I preview this, you see that it slowly ramps up into this move, and then it moves across the screen. And then when it gets to the next keyframe, it should ease into that keyframe slowly. There you go. And we're good. Nice little motion in the ocean. So that's just one thing that can be done here. Now remember, when you're previewing something, everything here will become disabled. So in order to enable all of your buttons here again, you need to press the stop button under the preview window. And now everything's enabled again. All right, so the next option that we have on here is scale. So right now it has maintain aspect ratio checked. So what that means is if I move or slide the width or the height, it's going to make the video smaller or larger based on which way I move these. So let's say I wanted to have a PIP on the screen. Now you can see where I can tell that both videos are going to be visible. Now I can change the position where I want this little bad boy to be. And now if I play this back, both videos will play at the same time. And now you have your PIP or your face cam all set up and ready to go. If I don't want to maintain the aspect ratio, I can uncheck that. And then I can move these independently of one another. And I will change the width or the height only as I move the slider from left to right. The next option I have is opacity. So if I want to add some opacity to this video clip, then I can just move my slider and it is more or less opaque as I move it from side to side. And then if I need to rotate it, I can type in any rotation that I want, or I can use the arrows to rotate it. Or I can place my cursor where this green dot is, and once you see these 2 circular arrows, I can left click, hold down my mouse, and I can rotate it that way. Once again, there are keyframes for opacity and rotation that can be used the same way that the keyframes could be used when I did that with the position function. So next we have Chroma Key. So if you were looking for a Chroma Key, this is where it's at. So if you're using a green screen or anything like that, you can go into the PIP Designer and utilize Chroma Key to go ahead and remove the background and place yourself in a different environment. Also, you can do some pretty nice little effects here with it as well. Next is shadow. So if I enable shadow, then I can actually see a little shadow of the PIP. So I can add more blur to it, can change the distance, can change the way that the shadow is cast. Change the color of the shadow, the opacity of the shadow. All these things are pretty much self-explanatory in the shadow section, so I'll just leave it at that. Reflection, pretty self-explanatory as well. So you can see the little reflection showing up down here. I can only change the distance of the reflection and the opacity. Then you have border. So if I want to add a border, you see now I have a little white border around the video. I can change the size of the border. I can add a blur. Change the opacity. Change the fill type, whether I want one uniform color, a 2-color gradient, or a 4-color gradient. And then I can choose the colors based on which one of these fill types I selected. Since I have uniform, it's only one color. And if I were to choose a different gradient, then it would let me choose the different colors for each gradient. Now we have flip. So if you want to flip the video, you had your video flipped upside down, cell phone, something like that, you can just flip it here. You don't even have to do it as a PIP. Basically what I mean by that is I could move this back to the regular scale. And there you go. If you just had your regular video and it was the wrong way around, you don't have to have another layer of video over here. You can just have the top video, click on that, click on modify, go down to flip and choose to flip it. So, pretty cool. And then you can also flip it left to right. Or basically it's not flipping it, I guess. Right? In reality, it's not flipping it at all. It's just, I don't even know what to call it, but it ain't flipping. You can't flip it left or right. Leave a comment and tell me what the heck the word is. I can't think of it right now. All right. And then if you have 3D files, you can change the depth and you can also keyframe that out. And then if you want to fade in or fade out, let's say that I want this PIP to fade onto the screen. Then I can select fade in and it adds a keyframe for me and fades it in, which is pretty cool. And if I wanted to fade out, I can just enable that and it'll fade it out at the end as well. So those are the properties. Let's go to motion. So under motion, you have a lot of different preset motions that you can go ahead and use to move the PIP across the screen. So just select the one that you want and it'll go ahead and make that motion for you. So you can choose no motion. Or you can choose any one of these and it gives you a preview of what that motion is like. And if you hit play, then you'll go ahead and get a preview of the motion. There's a lot of simple ones on here, like just to go straight across the screen. There's one that has shapes, all type of stuff. And keep in mind, you can change these if you want to. So if you want it to be in the middle of the screen and moving, then you can move it there. Now it'll go across the middle of the screen. If you want it to stop somewhere other than here, you can change the size of this. and make it stop where you want it to, and make it start where you want it to. There's all type of different options that you can choose, and you can change up the parameters of all of the motions if you'd like to do so. It's pretty cool. And if you want to, you've changed up a path, you can save it and it'll add it here so you have additional paths that you can create on your own. Also, besides the different paths that you have on here, you have rotation settings. So you can make it rotate across the screen a certain amount of times if you want it to. So on whatever path you choose, you can make it rotate if you want. And it tells you here rotate, it can't exceed 360 degrees, it'll only turn once. And then you have counterclockwise or clockwise. And then if you're moving something across the screen, you may want to add some motion blur to it to make it look more realistic. So if you add the motion blur, then you'll see a little bit of blur as it moves across the screen to kind of make it look more real. And the last tab we have on here is mask. So with the mask, you can add different masks to your video if you want a shape of a heart around it, or you want it to be a star. Whatever the case may be, you can go ahead and add those different things or different masks to your video. Then it also gives you the option to create a custom mask. And then you can invert your mask. You can add a feather radius around it. Change the position of the mask so that you have a certain thing on your video showing that you want to show. You can change the scale of the mask. And that's it. That's a pretty in-depth explanation of the PIP Designer. If you basically want to know more about it, all you got to do is hit me up with a question and I will definitely get back with you with additional information to help you use the PIP Designer in CyberLink PowerDirector. All right, PowerDirector peeps, you know the routine. The thumb, the one that's pointing in the upward direction, click it, like it, live it, love it, hug it. You got to show the thumb some love, all right? Comments, leave me your comments, I'll give you answers. If you got questions, I'll try to answer them. If I can't answer your question, I'll point you in a direction so you can get some help. And last but not least, smash the subscribe button. You got to smash the subscribe button so that you're in the know whenever I upload new content to YouTube. If you don't do that, you won't get notifications and you'll be missing out on all of the PowerDirector love that I'm bringing to you. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.